What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Got an interesting one for you. Let's get into it. Got a new model here, guys. Brand new, hot off the presses through the pass around group. We are looking at the Kizer Huldra. Very interesting model to say the least. What we'll do today is we're going to do our typical size comparison, profile, weigh the knife, and do a little bit of cutting, and then we'll jump into the review. Let's go ahead and kick it off with some size comparisons. All right, guys, so we got the Devo Knives Growler and the Kizer Towser S on the table, and you can see this is definitely overall more full-sized. Let's do a couple more. All right, next up, we got the Kizer October and we got the Kizer Militao on here. And you can see it's definitely more close in size to the Militao than it is the October. Let's do a couple of profile comparisons. And you can see I would say it's pretty even as far as what it's going to occupy in your pockets. How it's going to carry is more deep than everything on the table because the pocket clip hangs off the back. But, it's the same length as the Militao and, maybe a little bit thinner than the Militao. It's going to be a little bit thinner than your, it's going to be a little bit thicker than your Militao and a little bit thinner than your Growler here on the table. Let's grab the scale and check the weight on this one. Got the scale out, guys. All titanium construction. I'm thinking this is going to be like 4.5 ounces. Yeah, around 4.1 ounces. Let's go ahead, take it down to the garage. We're going to do a little bit of cutting with this one because it is a pass around. It is not mine. Shout out and thanks to Kevin Lefty EDC for letting me check this one out. Let's kick it downstairs really quick. All right, we are in the garage and we have the Huldra here. We're going to just do a little bit of sample cutting since this is a pass around knife. I can't really do a whole lot of cutting with it, but very nicely done S35 yen. If you can see that, that's the name of the knife. S35 yen. Has a nice factory edge. I do want to see what it feels like going through a little bit of cardboard. I got some single ply cardboard here. It does seem like it's a pretty thin blade stock, and I'll be honest, very comfortable in hand. Ergos are outstanding here. As I skip because I'm trying to do it really thin. So it feels like, I would say it's good. It's not a slicer by any stretch of the imagination, but it does feel like it moves through the cardboard nicely, not a ton of resistance, and it feels very comfortable. What I am also curious about is that pinch grip. Yeah, what an acute tip. I don't think in the pass round this has done a ton of cutting. At least it doesn't feel like it, or maybe whoever used it stropped it up really nicely. And just to kind of demonstrate my point about 154 cm and S35 yen from Kizer, very nice factory edge. It does a really good job moving through the materials. A little bit of tape on there, so I'll clean that up before I send it to the next person. But there you go. That is the Huldra, guys. Let's kick it back up to the desk. All right, there you go. We did a little bit of cutting with this one, and it performed very well. It's got a great factory edge. It's got a, decent geometry. It's a little bit thick because it's not a very tall flat grind. It stops about halfway up the blade, but the overall blade stock is thin. So I think that does help it with the cutting performance. You can feel it drag a little bit, though, with that design that they have on here. Ergonomically, it's very comfortable, easily fitting 4 fingers onto the knife. Even when you choke back, I'm just hanging off slightly back here if for whatever reason you didn't want to use this landing spot. But to me, like that trigger position, it's very comfortable and very nestled into the hand. I do feel the pocket clip a little bit when I am squeezing down, but it's not a hot spot. It's just kind of digging in a little bit there where it's not chamfered well enough on that pocket clip. I'd like to see a little bit more chamfering on that. It's a little uncomfortable here when you're squeezing, but I mean when you're pushing, all of the pressure is going to be coming up and you're going to be using your fingers to push into that, so it's kind of controllable if you don't unnecessarily over grip the knife to push through and power cut whatever it is that you're having to power cut. Then you should be fine. I do like the fact that you see it has T8 construction, and I love that the show side is really clean. You got a sterile pivot, very clean No screws showing. All the screws are on this side. So I do like this construction. They did hollow it out very generously on the show side. And then they have a little slit back here and a little slit right here where they are pocket, not a slit, but a little pocket where they milled that out to help keep that weight down to the 4 ounces. Very easily disengages, very smooth on the close. I prefer the Fuller for the reverse flick, and then I prefer the keyhole for that thumb flick, and the detent on here is really well dialed. The only complaint I have is I don't like this soft, thick jimping. I'd prefer it to be the same jimping that you see here on the actual flipper tab, but put it here on that front flipper. I also think it'll improve the jimping here when you're gripping it in this position. So, you know, if they do a version 2, that would be some other stuff I would take into consideration. Very easy to disengage regardless of what method you prefer for your disengagement. You know, all of them are easy to do. It has just a little cutout right here for access to the lock bar, and it works really well. So that's really well done. Very happy to see that. Very nice action. D10 is definitely tuned on this one. Vibes. It gives me kind of, I don't know, like nimble had a baby with a Grant gripper. That's really the vibes that it gives me here. I like the blade shape and everything. It's a really nice utility blade shape. I'm just really confused why they decided to wrap the backspacer instead of stopping it here and just carrying that out all the way to the tip. I feel like just looking at it, I mean, I'm this far away, so if we move in slightly, you come up, you're looking at about another 1/2 inch of blade that you could have come out all the way on this one on. And I think it balances out the look a little bit more. It's not ugly and it's not awful, but the blade to handle ratios, just immediately I'm noticing that they're a little bit off with this one. So I would have liked to seen the flipper have the more aggressive jimping, and I would have liked to have seen like about another 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch on the blade, and just stop the backspacer flush, like stop it even with the pocket clip right here, so that when you're coming to close and you have that extra 1/2 an inch there, you're not going to run into that. You have all that space there that you can have the tip close down into that. They may have done it possibly because this round's here, but what I would say in that case is what you save here, just wrap it up around here. You know, the screws, I would say you'd be able to lose this screw or shift them. You know what I'm saying? Just take the screw and shift it over, have this wrap to make sure that you're not getting to the tip accidentally. And I think you got a little bit more of a balanced look. Having said that, it's not awful. It's very Para 3-like, where you have more handle so that you got the ergos there and you just got a smaller blade, really just to take care of your cutting task. You got a very unique look. I like the little slant cuts here on it. They did go ahead and stonewash it. I do catch a little bit on the pocket clip coming out of the pocket. It's right over top of the relief cut. So I would say try to take that contouring and bring it up so it lands a little bit higher on there. I think that would be a really useful fix as well. Listen to the sounds on this, though. Kizer always does a good job with these crispy sounds. Very crispy break. Very crispy. Very crispy. All this, I believe, if I recall correctly, coming in from under 150. I think it was like, yeah, actually $149, so right under 150 bucks. Alternatively, if this is not your cup of tea, I would definitely recommend the Kizer Militao on the S35EN for the drop point version. And if you're not feeling that, I would say definitely if you want something that's a little bit more, I would say, got more personality to it, look at the Kizer Sheepdog. I really like the Sheepdog. I also like the Towser K. I think those are very interesting. The Towser K is going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more robust. But I think those are some very interesting alternatives. If this is still too big for you, too heavy, or out of your price range, mine is out on loan, unfortunately, but I would say you could check out the new Civivi X1, which is a Brian Brown design. It's going to be much smaller. It's going to be more in line with your Towser S as far as size, so that'll get you down there in a little bit of size. Unfortunately, this version of the Towser S was clearanced out, which is a shame. It's a damn good knife. I really like this one a ton. For the size, very good, utility blade shape as well. Thumb stud action is really good. You got multi-row ceramic bearings. I'm hoping they'll do other versions. Maybe they'll do some of the denim micarta with that one. That'll be really cool. But let's get back to the Huldra, man. It's very perplexing to me. I think some of the suggestions or input that I have with this one would probably be stuff that actually would make me want to add this to the collection. As it is, while it is cool and it is extremely well done, and it has definitely done its job to make sure that it stands out in a sea of knives that have very similar shapes, to me, it's not quite hitting for me to want to take this and add it to the collection. Like when I handled and reviewed the Militaw, I knew immediately that I wanted it. I had to pick one up. This one here, I love the fidget factor. I love the different styling cues. The fuller's not quite sharp enough to overcome landing on that lock bar a little bit as a lefty, and it doesn't have a reversible clip, so it's not trying to do that. I was just checking it out, but it does work really well right-handed, and I don't think I was able to fail anything on here, so I'm happy about that. I would say if it speaks to you, it's well done. S35N's great steel, great edge retention, and it cuts well. Even though it doesn't have a tall flat grind, it still cut very well. It's just, I could tell the difference from something that had a thinner geometry. Like you can tell when you've cut with enough of them where you got a little bit of a thicker geometry, or it ends more abruptly. Those are things that you can kind of tell. A hollow grind might have been able to really overcome that a little bit, since you don't want to take that grind all the way up. You're doing the same lines that you have here on the body over here on the blade, and I get that. You want it to stand out, and it does. Let me know what you think about the Huldra down in the comments below. I'm very curious to hear what you're thinking about it. Shout out and thank you for watching to this point of the video. On your way out, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you follow along with the channel. A special thanks and shout out to those channel members out there. You guys rock. I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.